Alright, hello GDQ Games Committee, I'm Nerd Squared, and this will be my submission of Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, any percent, for AGDQ 2020. I'm a very high level runner of this game. For reference, I'm in second place with a 50-minute flat time, and the world record is around 49:22. So I'm very close to the tippy top of the ladder, so to speak. And I think I'd be able to put on a very good showcase of this game at GDQ. So first thing I'll go over before, or rather one thing I'll go over real quick before we get into the actual run, is I'll be doing the submission for this run on normal difficulty. Although I will be submitting hard difficulty as a separate category alongside this, or as a potential donation incentive if this game gets accepted. We typically don't run on hard difficulty for single segment attempts for the most part, because with hard difficulty you take a lot of damage compared to normal, enemies have a lot more health so it's harder to kill them, and the alarm system on hard is a lot stricter. So basically hard difficulty as a run is quite a bit riskier, and in fact with hard it actually ends up being a bit slower than normal, because with hard you end up having to take some safety strats in order to safely get through the run and finish it consistently. So yeah, anyways, for the purposes of this mission, I'll be playing on normal. And we'll get straight into it here. Timing for this game starts when I start moving as soon as I get out of this loading screen. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this first checkpoint is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot that goes on in it. It's a lot of optimal movement, basically. So I'll take this time to talk about one particular aspect of the speedrun that's actually pretty important for reasons that'll come up later, which is I'm playing on the PC version of the game. The PC version is by far and away the definitive version to run on for the speedruns of this game, for a couple of reasons. For one, you obviously get way faster load times compared to the console versions, but also with the PC version you get access to quick saving and quick loading, and that's pretty nice for a casual playthrough because with that feature existing, you don't have to go back to an autosave whenever you fail a mission. But it's also extremely useful for a speedrun because we can utilize that feature for a major glitch that you'll see once we get to the second mission. Right here I'll be doing the first of several AI manips that you'll see in this run. What I did there was I shot at the wall. That caused the guard that was sitting on this box here to investigate the shot that I made, so I can run past him and avoid having to knock him out. There'll be a lot of those AI manips like that you'll see me utilize throughout the rest of the run. And little AI manips like that, as well as some skips that you'll see later, are really the bread and butter of this entire run. So you'll see a lot of those come into play. The tricky thing about this mission when doing it fast is that if you trigger a single alarm whatsoever, you instantly fail the mission. So if you mess up a trick at all, it's pretty much a reset. In particular with that guard, I have to run up to him, and I have to be sure that I don't miss my jumps there. Otherwise, as I run up to that guard, he'll see me, which will cause me to instantly fail the mission. So I have to be careful of that. Right here we have a pretty difficult skip. There's supposed to be a sequence here where Sadono, who is one of the antagonists of the game, kills the hostage after a lengthy dialogue sequence, but by doing the series of jumps that you saw me do just there, you can avoid having to sift through that sequence. Hopefully I didn't mess it up. There we go. Alright, and that little bit of movement there I did to get past that sequence is a lot harder than it looks, because if you mess up the movement at all during that entire stretch, you will get seen by Sadono, which will cause you to fail the mission. But thankfully I got first try there. I've gotten pretty good at that skip in particular, to the point where I can get it consistently. So as soon as I get out of this room, you'll see me utilize a bit of speed tech right here. What I just did there was something called crouch glitching. It's not really crouch glitching, it's more like a crouch exploit of sorts. Essentially how that crouch exploit works is, in order for the game to determine that Sam is making noise, he has to take a full step forward, and by crouching and uncrouching a bunch with that little exploit there, Sam doesn't take a full step forward, so according to the game, whenever we are crouching and uncrouching a bunch like that to do the crouch exploit, Sam is not making noise whatsoever, and so we can utilize that exploit to sneak past guards. That'll be used quite a bit for the sections of the run where we do have to be stealthy. As I went across the courtyard there, I did an AI manip where I shot at the wall behind that sniper. If I just went across that courtyard willy-nilly, the guard would see me since he has night vision goggles, and he would start shooting at me, and you really don't want to get shot by that guard because he kills you really quickly, even on normal. So I just have to be wary of that there. So we just have to get to the end of the mission, but the end of the mission won't trigger until we turn off these spotlights here, so I'll be doing that real quick. I'll be killing those guards here with some pistol shots. The general rule with guards, on normal difficulty at least, is they take 3 body shots to kill, so you'll see me utilize that quite a bit for the sections of combat in this run. So that was a pretty good dilly, all things considered. I don't think they had any major mistakes there, so it was fairly clean for the most part. That mission in particular is a very competitive IL. I believe Kirchu is the record at like 447 for that. Anyway, we move on to this Cryogenics lab in Paris. We find out from that dialogue at the end of the previous mission that there's this character who goes by the alias of Mortified Penguin, who's on the verge of starting a terrorist attack. And we have to figure out who this Mortified Penguin guy actually is, and what exactly is involved in this little terrorist plot he's about to start. And this mission is a special mission for the speedrun, because as soon as I shoot down the sprinkler, you'll see me utilize a major glitch, which looks pretty mundane at first, but there's actually a reason behind me quick saving and quick loading seemingly randomly there. And that reason has to do with a system that this game has where whenever you leave a room, like I did just there, the game scans the room that you just left for any bodies that happen to be lying around, and if the game happens to find a body and that body is in bright light as well, the game will trigger an alarm automatically. However, quick saving and quick loading, for whatever reason, gets rid of those body check triggers, and so we can utilize that to not have to worry about alarms whatsoever for the duration of the rest of the run. And the reason that's so game-breaking is because the intent behind this game, obviously, is that it is a stealth game, and you're supposed to go through each room stealthily and carefully, and they put the alarm system in as a way to encourage players to be stealthy when going through rooms and taking care of guards. But obviously with the body check skip, as it's called, we can kind of circumvent that. So I just take care of this guy real quick at the end of the hall. And shoot down this guard. Fortunately, I was unable to shoot him before he pulled an alarm on me, but that's fine. The alarm will go away at the beginning of the next checkpoint. So yeah, there's this bomb right here that I have to take care of, but don't worry about that. It's not too relevant. I have to slow down my movement speed here, because there's a motion detector right there, and if I don't slow down my movement speed to at least 2 or so, I will get seen by that motion detector and get an alarm pulled on me. I'm going to go on this computer to progress with the mission, and right here is the first keypad code of the run. The really cool thing about the keypad codes in this game is that with the PC version in particular, you can enter the numbers for the keypad code with the keypad keys on your keyboard. So you'll see coming up on the next keypad that you can enter the keypad codes really quickly. This is another advantage that the that the PC version has, because you can't do this on console, obviously. And I turn on thermal vision here because it's really hard to see if you have anything but the thermal vision on as you go through this freezer section. And if you run next to that turret, you won't take any damage because you're so close to the turret that it doesn't have time to damage you. Alright, so I'm gonna take care of these guards real quick. And it's actually fairly important that I go into this room with 1 alarm level or less, because if I went into that room with alarm level 2, what would happen is the guards would have helmets on, and which would make it really hard to shoot them. And right there, I threw a gas grenade, or not a gas grenade, but a frag grenade into this air vent. What that did was that broke the air conditioning open. And what the breaking open the air conditioning does is it knocks out 2 guards or 3 guards rather, that were standing in that hallway. Normally there'd be 2 cutscenes where those 3 guards tried to break open the door to Komodo's room here. Komodo being the NPC I'm talking to right now. But by knocking them out beforehand, those cutscenes are effectively skipped. And right there, I quick save and quick load to that bit of dialogue, which is something you'll see me do for the rest of the run. So we're gonna make our escape here to the end of the mission. Alright, pretty decent cryogenics lab. Wasn't too sloppy overall. Alright, so now we move on to this train that's on its way to Paris, France, or Nice, France rather. There's a little time saver right at the start here, found by a runner named Choke where I essentially just wiggle back and forth to get to the front of the train car as quickly as possible. Saves around 3 to 5 seconds there. Anyways, this is probably the scariest mission for a marathon setting at least, because this is the only mission in the entire game where you only get 1 autosave, and that's it. So if I end up quick saving in a bad spot to where I get an alarm loop or death loop of sorts, I will have to go back to the beginning of the mission, since the last autosave is at the very beginning of the mission. So, and if that ends up happening, I waste a bunch of time. So for marathon save strats, I'll be tactically placed quick saves in order to avoid that sort of situation from occurring. Like right there, once I hit that switch. You're supposed to shimmy alongside the train car here, but you can just run through this train car and knock out the guards. And then do a buy check skip so the bodies don't get found. Shimmying across the side of the train car is really slow, so we want to avoid doing that, of course. I do an AI manip here, where I shoot just to the side of that doorway. And ideally, that guard right there, go up into this room that I'm in right now. Fortunately, he's not cooperating right now, which is kind of unfortunate. There we go. So as he goes right to that spot right there to pull an alarm and knock him out, I just run to the train car here. And the plot behind this mission, by the way, that I haven't mentioned yet, is this is Mortify Penguin here. We find out in the previous mission that he's actually named Sauce, and we're basically interrogating him right now to figure out what he's up to. So we'll be doing that here. And of course I'm going to quick save and quick load, do more dialogue. There's a softlock that can happen here, where that NPC that we kind of ran past before can get stuck between Sadono, or not Sadono, but Soth and his associate here. Cause me to get seen in the train car room here, and which will cause me to fail the mission. But thankfully it didn't happen. Both times it has happened to me, it happened in marathon runs, funnily enough. But anyway, we have a pretty difficult skip here. It's not really difficult, it's just kind of tricky. For one, the main thing being that we have a time constraint that we have to get this skip within, which makes things a little tricky, but we should be able to get this. So the thing that makes this tricky is we have to get to the end of the train car, But in order to avoid getting seen, we have to shoot out these lights. And if we have the red laser sight out for too long, that guard at the end of the train car will see us, get alerted, and which will cause us to fail the mission. So I just have to be careful of that as I shoot out those lights. Guy, get out of the laser mic view once he says MOSAD leak there. Go up to the door and quick save and quick load. By quick saving and quick loading, when I get to the door there, it puts sauce dialogue during that phone call at a perfect point to where I can leave the train car without getting seen. Because if you leave the train car too early during that bit of dialogue between Soth and Sadono, who we met before, you will fail the mission because he discovers you as you leave the train car. So anyways, that was a pretty clean train overall. That went pretty well. So anyways, we're about halfway through the game right now. Once we finish this mission, we are now in Jerusalem. And there's a trick right at the start here. You're normally supposed to climb up these stairs at the start, but climbing upstairs is slow. So by running on that little bit of level geometry there, we can go up the stairs really quickly, thus saving a bit of time. Shoot at the wall there to distract that guard so I can do a jump attack on him to knock him out like that. So one thing you're noticing me do as I go through the streets here is normally with the street guards, if you'll know that if you play this game casually, the street guards are supposed to pull an arm on you the moment that they see you, but by just giving them a little love tap on the shoulder, they won't pull an arm on you, and instead they'll pull out their guns to try and shoot you, which makes going through that section I just went through and the section coming up a lot more consistent. Apparently I didn't hide a body there. It's weird. That's weird. What body could I have... Oh yeah, it's the one guy. Well, that's an unfortunate time loss, but that's whatever. Hopefully I don't get an alarm pulled on me this time, because I quick saved and quick loaded. Okay, there we go, that worked. I was just a dummy and forgot to quick save and quick load. That's fine though, that's only like 20 seconds of time loss, it's whatever. So anyways, after this conversation with Saul here, we're gonna get our SC20K back as well as a couple of gadgets. And the mechanic that the first two Splinter Cell games do is that halfway through the game, they take away your SC20K and you have to retrieve it. So we get our SC20K from Saul there, and I'll be equipping the ring airfoil round straight away in order to stun that guard. If I got the perfect shot there, I would have been able to hit the guard in the head, which would have knocked him out and make him fall to the ground as if he was completely knocked out, but didn't get it there. And luckily the AI manip worked. That particular AI manip is kind of tricky. Basically what I wanted to do there is I want to shoot at the wall to distract the guards, and then crouch glitch past the guards so they don't detect me. If they end up detecting you as you run through that alleyway, they can shoot at you a bunch and drain your health really quickly. So thankfully it didn't happen there and the AI manip worked first try. It's fairly important that I have a good amount of health going into the last checkpoint, because the last checkpoint is really scary if you're on low health. So we're good there. Also, there's a fun little trick here. If you just run into this wall as you do that fall, you don't take any fall damage, which is a little weird, but we'll roll with it. We're going to talk to this NPC named Dahlia here. Dahlia is essentially a double agent of sorts for this local terrorist agency in Jerusalem named Shinbet. The idea behind this checkpoint is there's this thing called the ND-133, which is basically a bomb that the terrorist that I mentioned earlier, or that Soth I mentioned earlier, is kind of using as his main weapon of choice for his attack. And so we want to try to find a sample of the ND-133 in this underground lab in order to determine what the stuff is made of, so we can track the location of future ND-133s as part of the plot, basically. And this is sort of the auto score of the run, because We have to... Dahlia here is going to escort us to the end of the mission, where the elevator to the underground basement lab is. And Dahlia takes the same amount of time to get to the end of the checkpoint every time. And so we can't really do anything to speed this up. And so we're pretty much left to our own devices to do whatever. And so what I do to pass the time during the autoscroller here is I knock out these guards. So for an actual marathon run, I suppose this would be a good point for reading donations, but for now I'll be explaining things. One particular thing I can explain is this game right now was timed in real time. It doesn't have a load remover at the moment. And so quick saving and quick loading obviously waste time in real time. So what we do to optimize the run at high level play is actually to quick save and quick load the least amount possible. Basically what that means is you want to try to quick save only when absolutely necessary, like when doing body check skips, or if you're like quick saving right before a difficult trick. Oh, I forgot to do a body check skip on accident again. Everything was going haywire. Oh my gosh. Alright, I'll do a quick save and quick load there. I don't know how I forgot to do a body check skip earlier. That was my mistake. That's what I mean with this game. That's the thing with this game. Is little mistakes like that can dock you a bunch of time. Because if you get to do a body check skip somewhere, you get an alarm pulled on you and you fail the mission. So that's kind of the stressful thing about running this game at high level play. Any mistake and the run's pretty much dead. Which I guess that's the case for most games anyway, but this game especially has some really nerve-wracking tricks that you have to get first try in order to get a really good time. Anyway, ignoring those that little mishap there, we'll be continuing on. So what we can do, since this is essentially an autoscroller here, is we run to the end of the checkpoint in order to grab some supplies for the last checkpoint of this mission. So I'll be opening the gate there, going in this room, and picking up these gadgets that will be useful for the next checkpoint. My estimate for this run is pretty safe. My PB, as I said, is 50 minutes flat. And the estimate is around 1 hour. At the absolute worst case, this run should take around 58 minutes. So my 1 hour estimate, a 1 hour estimate would be a decent estimate, I'd say. There's only like 1 or 2 things in this run at this point that can dock me a bunch of time, like that dumb mistake I made just a bit ago. Alright, so we've gotten everything we need. We're just waiting for Dahlia to come around that corner there in the middle of the screen. She should come around the corner shortly. There she is. And I'm actually doing a small time saver right here. When she gets to the gate, she normally opens the door. But by keeping the door open for her like this, like a polite gentleman, we avoid having to sit through the animation where Dahlia opens the door, which saves a few seconds. So at this point we find out that Dahlia isn't the trustworthy double agent we thought she was, and so we're forced by Lambert, who's basically a member of Sam's spy team, to kill her. And we're essentially forced with the choice to either kill her or not kill her, which for an actual marathon run of this would be a good donation incentive, I feel. But for an optimal speed run, we want to not kill Dahlia. And I'll explain the reasons for that now. If you kill Dahlia, what happens is there's a group of street guards, like the ones we encountered before, that spawn in at the end of the mission. And the thing with the guards is that you can't kill them with lethal attacks, so bullets from your gun. You have to kill them with non-lethal gadgets like the ring air floor rounds and sticky shockers that we used before. So you end up having to go out of your way to get extra gadgets, which wastes time, obviously. So what we're going to do instead is not kill Dahlia at all. And you'll see what the outcome of that is once we get to the end of the mission. And with these two guards right here is a bit of RNG to them. If they would cooperate, that is. There we go. These guards, in terms of their AI, have one of two responses. They can either just chill at their spawn here once they kill that one guard from above, or they can go around the corner there and try to shoot me, and in that case they did the latter, so I had to react accordingly. This room in particular is really scary if you're on low health, because right across from that point right there where I pick up the ND-133 sample, there's a guard in the archway, and if I'm on really low health going into that a little bit, and he tries shooting at me as I grab the ND-133 sample, there's a very good chance he can end up killing me. My health was pretty good anyway, right there, so I didn't have to worry about that. So what happens if you don't kill Dahlia at all is she respawns at the end of the mission along with a group of sniper buddies. And what you're supposed to do as a quote-unquote safe strat is that you're supposed to kill the snipers and then run to the end of the checkpoint. So we're going to do a pretty particular AI manip instead in order to avoid shooting the snipers. First I'm going to kill this sniper in the corner so he isn't a problem later. And then for the manip, I'm going to shoot this wall right here, and shoot at this wall. That causes the guards to get distracted. So I run over here before they have a chance to shoot at me. Really quick method there to get to the end of the checkpoint. If you mess that up, that's really bad, because they'll end up shooting at you and drain your health really quickly. So it's good that I was able to get that quickly. Alright. So now I move on. We're past the halfway point of the run, by the way. We come across, or we go into the 5th mission here. This is my least favorite mission in the game, in my opinion, because it's the most boring mission of the run, in my opinion, save for one particular part. Because about 2/3 of the mission are essentially an autoscroller. Luckily, though, there's a strat we can do to skip part of the autoscroller. It's really cool for those that haven't seen this run before, so definitely look out for that. For now, we'll just be running through these woods. And at this point, I'll kind of explain the plot of the game in general. Essentially, the plot line in this game is there's a group of terrorists where Sadono, who we met before, is the ringleader. Sadono and his terrorist buddies, as we'll call them, have organized a scheme where they have planted bombs, the ND-133s that I mentioned before, at major world locations. And Sadono does this thing where he does routine calls, hence the subtitle of the game being Pandora Tomorrow, in order to prevent them from doing their attacks, basically. And if he dies, or if he misses a call, they set off their bombs that they've placed. And so, what we're doing with this mission is we're gonna trail behind Sadono and listen in on some of his Pandora Tomorrow phone calls in order to get intel on where the remaining ND-133s are, in order to stop his terrorist plot from succeeding. This mission in particular, at least this checkpoint, is pretty annoying for going fast because there's a lot of things that can cause you to get an alarm. Like right here, if I shoot that dog in an incorrect way, I'll get an alarm. And there's these two guards right here coming up at the end where I almost always get an alarm no matter what you do. It's really annoying. So, like right there, a lot of the time I tend to get an alarm for seemingly no reason. It's really strange. Rarely ever do I not get an alarm on that one spot. Anyways, here is the skip. Yeah, it's pretty difficult for a certain part of it, so I'll have to concentrate for that. But basically the idea behind this checkpoint is I want to do a certain AI manip, which there's a lot of convoluted steps to it. And if I do it right, what will happen is the idea behind this checkpoint is you're supposed to trail behind Sadono for a bit. But if I do this correctly, I'll be able to avoid having to wait behind Sadono and his escort. The movement to do that, though, one jump in particular is really difficult, so I'll definitely have to concentrate for that. Because it requires a really particular setup, and even if you get the setup right, it's still a really hard jump to do. It's coming up in this room, so I'll have to concentrate on it for a bit.
Of course. Sadono changes the passcode for entry price data. He doesn't write it down. He gives it verbally to his 3 top lieutenants on site. So I grab one and make him time.
It seems good. I'll continue with this, but if I end up missing it, I'll have to, like... If I end up messing it up, I'll just make a hard save, and then if I mess up the jump, I'll just go back to that hard save. So let's hope. Okay, we got it. Good. I think? Yeah, we got it. Good. So what that'll allow us to do is, once this conversation is over, we can go straight to the end of the checkpoint and not have to wait for Sadono and his escort. Because Sadono and his escort take a really long time to get to the end of the checkpoint. For reference, it's around 3.5 minutes if we do this section normally. So it was really good that I was able to get that. I was actually kind of nervous about doing that in a no reset setting right there, but we got past it. So now I just have to get to the end of the checkpoint. Unfortunately, I have to kill the Franker Z because he chips at your health really fast. Alright. Oh, so I'm trying to get a headshot on this guard, which is really annoying when you're not focusing with the aim. Nice. So that's essentially a skip right there. We just get ahead of Sadono and his escort, so we don't have to wait through what is essentially an auto score. And we get to the end of the checkpoint in less than 3 minutes there. Optimally in a run you get there in less than 2 minutes, but I played it a bit slow just to be safe. So this is the auto score that you can't, part of the auto score at least, that you cannot skip. There is actually a method to skip this that the segmented run uses, but it's way too difficult to do in single segment runs.
Got a heads up for you from Grim.
We're going to be losing touch in a second. There must be copper coils or some kind of grid ahead of you.
Kidding me? I already got an alarm.
We're going to be out of contact as long as you're on.
I really don't want an alarm in this first room, so I'm just gonna reload the autosave there. This checkpoint in particular is why I dislike this mission so heavily, because as you saw there, while it is an auto score, there's still a lot of potential places for you to lose a bunch of time just because of something going wrong and the AI seeing you and pulling an alarm on you and causing you to fail the mission. Now I want to have one alarm and one alarm at most going out of this room, which is why I had to reset there when I got an alarm in the first room at this checkpoint. So I turned on the air conditioning. That'll cause a couple of guards here to go into this room. And I want to kill them before I leave this room, just so they don't pull an alarm on me as I try to leave. So I got one alarm there, but that's fine. I just need to make sure I don't get another one later. Code here is 0623. Once again, you can enter the keypad codes pretty quickly with the PC version controls.
Welcome back to fresh air.
Do you have the name?
Fisher. Go tap that phone.
Sometimes Sadono's escort, in terms of his pathing, can have some really weird pathing and walk back into this room. So if you're still in the room as he does that, he can see you and cause you to fail the mission. I'm gonna shoot a diversion camera to take care of these guards. Hopefully they don't get suspicious early, because that might throw off the timing. Thankfully they didn't stop their dialogue early. Whoops, I did not mean to run up to him that early. I meant to wait until the second guard there got stunned by the gas. Crap. That's fine. Alright, so hopefully I don't take too much damage going up against this turret. I took no damage, which is really good. So I need to be careful going up to this door, because if I go up to that door at just the wrong time during that turret cycle, the turret will shoot at me and cause Sadono and his escort to get alerted, which will cause me to fail the mission. You can see what I mean now by there being so much time loss potential in this part that's essentially an autoscroller. It's definitely, this mission in particular is just a really nerve-wracking part of the speedruns of this game, because after getting a really hard skip, you have to deal with the guard AI and hope they cooperate. So if I get one alarm going out of this room, it's fine. That's not fine, however. That's a time loss. Oh, crap. Hopefully the guard goes away. I think I'm fine. Yeah, the guards are gone, so it's good. Alright, so what I was worried was going to happen there is if I go through that previous room too quickly, what can happen is the guard, Sadono's escort rather, right here, can be still spawned in and walk back to the room you were just in that little hallway sequence, which can waste you a bunch of time because you have to wait to go through that room until the guard despawns. So you'll hear Sadono saying some random numbers here. These are the Pandora Tomorrow calls that we have to listen in on, and you can just quick save, quick load past them to skip them. Shoot the camera here, but I have to wait to do it until Sadono is off screen. Otherwise he'll get alerted and cause me to fail the mission. Go over here, wait until he's done using my computer so I can interact to it to trigger the end of the mission.
Good work, Fisher.
And I'm going to equip the flashbang for a strat at the end of this mission. I'm going to flip that switch to turn off an electric trap, which by doing that I skip an animation. So I'm going to do a strat here with this setup where I throw a flashbang here. There's normally supposed to be a bit here where these 4 guards that are ambushing you get killed by Shetland, who is another character in the Splinter Cell series, bringing in backup. So that's normally supposed to happen. But we throw a flashbang to stun all 4 of them so we can run to the end of the mission. But I paused for a moment here because I want to show off something special with the guards here. So obviously you're not supposed to be able to stun them with the flashbang like that. And so they have really weird reactions to you when you try to knock them out. Like they shoot at you with an invisible gun. There's something I want to show off at the end of this mission as well that I haven't mentioned quite yet. I'm gonna go into this menu here right before the mission complete fanfare plays, and when you do that, the game doesn't load the textures properly, and so it just displays a white screen. So anyways, we're out of that mission finally. Now we can move on to Komodo shipyard. We've determined where the ND-133s are from the end of the previous mission in Kundang, and so now we just need to find out where Sadono is so we can do a final confrontation of sorts with him. And this first section is pretty chaotic because you're running through this area and there's a bunch of guards shooting at you. In fact, there's a sniper that's guaranteed to shoot at us at least once. But this section is pretty consistent. You don't have to worry too much about getting alarms here. There's these lasers here that I have to avoid with some clever platforming, right there. And the alarm level is at 2 out of 3 right now after doing all of that, but you don't have to worry about that too much because the alarm level will go down to 2 out of 3 even without a body check skip once I get to the bottom of the elevator shaft here. So for the latter half of the mission, we have to get into a submarine, but the submarine is in use right now, and we don't have the means of opening it, or rather bringing it out above the surface. But luckily, we have the help of this handy NPC right here just around the corner named Garen. He is a technician who will help us raise the submarine by interacting with this computer. And interacting with the computer there causes this cutscene to play, which is unskippable and it's about 30 seconds long. So during an actual marathon run, this cutscene would be good for donations. Yeah, coming up after this cutscene, there's a dialogue skip I'm gonna do. Well, it's not really a dialogue skip, but it's sort of a dialogue skip. There's a dialogue we'd have to wait through before knocking Garen out. But if I knock Garen out during a specific point in the dialogue, I don't have to carry him as far out of the room, which is nice because carrying him like this is really slow. I have to listen for an audio cue here.
There's no problem. I had a warning light flash on the ballast tanks. I'll put you back under as soon as they're fixed.
Okay. So basically, as soon as he says soon in that dialogue box, I knock him out. And I need to be careful with my timing there, because if I knocked Garen out too early, I will instantly fail the mission. So I just have to be careful of that. And this mission has a neat trick to it. It's not really a skip, but it still saves a decent chunk of time. There's this tram over here that we'd have to use to get to the submarine. But using the tram is slow because it moves really slowly. So instead what I'm going to do is go at the slowest movement speed, so movement speed 1, and then go on the zip line and get to the tram that way. Or not the tram, but the submarine. Not sure of how much time this saves because I haven't done the science on it, but I imagine it saves around 20 to 30 seconds or so.
That's everywhere I go.
I'm going to try to do a small time saver here where I equip my weapon and then drop down the ladder. And I need to grab the ladder on my way down, otherwise I'll hit the ground and die from fall damage, as you're seeing here. Just like that. That was good. This was kind of tricky to deal with because there's a bunch of guards and the one alarm restriction is back in place. In this room in particular, I need to do a crouch glitch to get past that guard, otherwise he'll hear me. This guard, for whatever reason, has really good vision, so I kind of have to edge myself around the corner there in order to avoid getting seen by him. Upcoming has a really neat AI manip. There's this guard right here that you normally have to lure into this room to grab him. Instead, what I'm going to do is shoot at that wall and run up to him and knock him out before he can turn around to see me. That saves a decent chunk of time compared to grabbing him in the room I was just in a bit ago. There's 2 guards in this room that I'm going to take down with some sticky shockers before they even see what's coming. I'm going to interact with this computer right here. This computer has information on where the ND-133s are, and now that we know where the ND-133s are, we can go ahead and fight Sadono in the next mission. And this pier is kind of tricky for speedrunning because there's a few guards, and they do a bunch of damage to you because they're all shooting you at once, but there's a neat strat you can do to avoid getting shot by them and still kill them quickly, which you'll see once I get to the bottom of the stairs here. First I have to kill this guard before he shoots me. So I'm going to get behind cover here. Conveniently enough, there's some explosive barrels on the pier here, so I'm going to shoot both of those explosive barrels, and by shooting both of those explosive barrels, we kill all the guards instantly. Really neat strat there to take care of the guards in this room. So upcoming in the next mission, well, first there's a trick here where you're supposed to climb down the ladder, but instead you can bring out your weapon and drop down onto the boat. Anyways, in the next mission is probably the coolest looking skip in the entire game, in my opinion at least. Basically, there's this truck that we have to follow to get to the end of the checkpoint, but there's 2 problem points with following that truck that make this strat very difficult. First thing is there's a couple of guards that we have to take care of with smoke grenades, otherwise they will pull an alarm on us. Second problem point is there's a turret in the alleyway that we have to run through, Otherwise they will, otherwise they will,
Alarm stage 1. Sam, don't be
otherwise we'll take much damage from it.
Paid to be invisible.
Oh, headlight guard. Oh crap. So that room's kind of scary. Got the headlight guard there, and if he sees you, he pulls an alarm on you. Anyway, here's the skip. So first, I'm going to shoot gas grenades at both of this guard's feet. Ideally, I don't get an alarm, so I'm going to try that again. There we go. Alright, so that's part one. And we just have to run through this alleyway to this gate right here. And the scary part about that entire skip is that last part where I had to get past the gate. Because I have to get past that gate before it closes. If it closes before I get there, I'm virtually forced to do a slower strat of going through that checkpoint that wastes several minutes.
Need to be a ghost.
So it's good that I got there.
Cohen was right.
Getting it good is getting it first try is generally really good.
She's an honest-to-God agent. A lot more than that.
That makes sense.
Gonna do a bit of a drop here. Hopefully I don't die from it. Thankfully we're fine. We have plenty of health to survive that fall.
She was at the one
Doing that, you're supposed to rappel down to get to the lobby there, but you can just
They got the
drop down and it's a bit faster. Alright, so now we got that hard skip out of the way. We have essentially an autoscroller again. Essentially the idea behind this section is, Ingrid, who we met before, well actually what's supposed to happen in this checkpoint is, we're gonna have a final confrontation with Sadono, who we met before, but there's a retinal scanner blocking our way to where Sadono is, which is this television studio on the other side of the building. Thankfully, though, we have our handy friend Ingrid here, who has access to that retinal scanner. So we're going to convince her to use the retinal scanner for us so we can get to Sadono.
You made yourself friendly.
Sure, Sedano's a
Ingrid's a godsend.
I keep pinching.
Hopefully there's not a guard when I get out of this room. Okay. Sometimes there's a guard right here at this door, and you end up having to shoot him if he's there. So I'm going to activate this turret so it doesn't shoot me as I go into this bathroom here, because I'm going to go into this bathroom to heal. I'm going to quick save and quick load for that buy check skip, or for a buy check skip there. And I heal here instead of healing on the way to Ingrid, because by healing while Sadono, or Ingrid rather, is walking up to this retinal scanner right here, we don't waste any time. I'm going to reload my gun here, equip the SU-20K's rapid fire mode, and I'm also going to equip some sticky shockers, because they'll be useful for dealing with the enemies in this next room. So first I'm going to sticky shock these two guards at the end. And the reason I equipped my rapid fire mode is because these guards right here, they all have guns that hit really quickly, and shooting them with the rapid fire mode is the best way to deal with them. Yeah, took care of them quickly there. Just shoot these lights so that camera at the end doesn't see me. I'm going to shoot this light at the end as well so these two guards don't see me as I try to kill them.
But you need to hightail it to the recording.
I'm going to sticky shot this guy, headshot this guard, and equip the flashbang because it'll be very useful for a strat in this next room. Because this next room is actually pretty interesting. There's a thing you're supposed to do here where you do a sort of a boss fight with all the guards in this next room and then capture Sadono. You can run up behind Sadono to grab him instead, but doing that is inconsistent. So instead, what I'm going to do is run up behind Sadono here, throw a flashbang under that curtain. When it goes off, it'll stun all the guards, including Sadono, so I can run up to him and grab him without getting killed. And the nice thing about grabbing Sadono from behind like that is because of how the AI is programmed in this section, they are programmed to not shoot you once you grab Sadono. So you can get to the end of the checkpoint here without much worry. Also, this music right here, by the way, is the best music in the entire game, in my opinion. So yeah, we just have to take a bit of a walk up here to the roof once we grab Sadono there.
You're well on track to becoming history's most prolific unknown author of world events.
If I had any blood left, I'm sure I'd be blushing. Is Ingrid in position on the roof?
That's right. And the helicopter too. Keep Sadono conscious until you've made visual
And there's a neat little thing I'm going to do here once I get to the top. But first I have to get Sadono to the roof.
Fantastic. Don't worry about leaving a mess behind you on your way out. We're arranging to sweep up after you're gone.
We're not in the clear yet. Get Sadono to the roof. Ingrid's waiting.
Alright, so once this dialogue with Ingrid starts, I'm going to knock out Sadono. I'm going to quick save and quick load to get the dialogue to a certain point. Then once I get the dialogue to a certain point, I'm going to go into this room where these soldiers are.
No, I can't say that.
I'm going to intentionally die, and then, oh no, I'm dead, runs over! Actually, I'm fine. So, there is an explanation behind that. Essentially what happened there is, well, I died, obviously, and and while Sam was in this death animation of falling to the floor, I quick saved and quick loaded to the end of that dialogue sequence with Ingrid. And what happens then is, when the dialogue sequence with Ingrid finishes, the game essentially sets a flag that says, you have completed the mission, and you can proceed to the next mission. And the game set that flag before the death animation finished. So I was able to finish the mission while dying there. So anyways, we are in the last mission of the game, which is LAX. Oddly enough, this game only has 8 missions compared to the usual amount in Splinter Cell games, which is 10. Essentially, the plot behind this mission is Soth has taken hold of the last ND-133, and he has decided to set it off in the LAX International Airport. And we obviously want to take care of that, but a problem comes up. In order to prevent his plan from being stopped, he has enlisted the help of 9 mercenaries that are all disguised as airport employees. So in this next few rooms, we have to basically kill all those mercenaries disguised as employees, which is a pretty difficult thing to do in a casual playthrough, because it's kind of hard to tell which is which. But a good way to tell is the airport the terrorists, like that one I just killed, have lighter uniforms than the normal employees do. Fortunately I missed that, so I have to load a quick save, but anyway. A way to tell between the normal employees and the mercenaries is the mercenaries have light uniforms, like that employee right there, compared to the normal employees, which have dark uniforms. Missing any of these shots, by the way, is really scary because you end up getting an alarm pulled on you. So you have to be really careful of that as you go through this room. Alright, so I just have to kill that terrorist. You get a pretty good indication of whether or not you've killed all the terrorists in a room, because Lambert will say, "Good work, Fisher." Then you can proceed to the next room. I shoot a gas grenade there to get past that enemy or guard without him seeing me. And roll up here and equip the ring rifle rounds right here to stun this guard, so I can continue to the next part of the room. As I get off the conveyor belt there, I'm going to equip some sticky shockers because they'll be useful in the next section.
Fisher, we have additional intel.
Alright, so
It seems they have 2 more terrorists who have infiltrated the landing zone in the
essentially there's a few more terrorists that we have to kill, and then we can get to the finale of the game, which is a really cool boss fight for those that haven't seen it. We're gonna wait for this guy to open the door. That way we don't have to enter a keypad code. I'm gonna shoot this light right here so the camera at the end doesn't see me. I'm gonna do a fairly tricky headshot on this guard, just like that. I'm going to quick save and quick load right here because dialogue from Sam Fisher's team, so Lambert, Brunson, or Grimstar, has priority over pretty much everything else in the game. So in this room right here, I want to whistle in order to distract this NPC right here. And if the dialogue is still going while I was going through that room, I would not be able to whistle there, and I would have to do an alternative strat that wastes a few seconds compared to what I just did. So I did that there. So I have to shoot out those lights, so when I go up to the elevator in a second, those cameras don't spot me. And I have to go into thermal vision and use the binoculars here, which you do by pressing the scope button when you don't have a weapon out. Use the binoculars there to spot Soth and the last two of his associates. And we're going to take this elevator up to essentially what is the final boss of the run, which is a confrontation between Soth and a couple of his associates. And before we get there, though, you have to do a neat little platforming trick here. You're normally supposed to climb up this elevator shaft in a different way. I'm not familiar with it because I haven't done the casual method for this room in such a long time. But by climbing at the angle that I am right now, we'll come up on this screw just above me right here. I want to try to drop onto that screw so I can go into the next room without having to do extra climbing. So I'll drop onto the screw here, and I can just climb up onto the elevator like this. I'm actually going to do a small outbound of sorts here. I'm going to go on the very edge of this catwalk here, so I can jump over to this ladder right here to get a better vantage point for the upcoming boss fight. And the boss fight is really quick when done properly. Essentially, I'm going to shoot this guy, that is if I don't miss the shot, and then I'm going to go up here on this ladder to get a better vantage point and kill the remaining two guards to finish off the boss fight. Where is the guard? Oh, he's over there. Okay, didn't see him for a second. We've killed all the guards, and we just have to run up to EMD 133 over there, and time is when I lose control. Right there. Pretty decent no reset overall. I feel like that was a decent showcase of what can happen with this game in a marathon run. Also, the NPC on the bottom there is still panicking and running around.
It would have to be reinforced steel to withstand the force of decompression.
We'll evacuate the airport. That should keep casualties below 1,000. Fisher, maybe you can get low.
There's this dialogue sequence we have to sit through at the end, and I want to show off the ending cutscene as part of this mission. And the thing with watching the ending cutscene, though, is that with the PC version in particular, at least with the video settings I use, the game really likes to freeze and crash sometimes during the FMV cutscenes. So hopefully that doesn't happen as we watch the cutscene here. Usually as a precaution, I let the mission complete fanfare fully play out. And of course the cutscene froze there, so I'll give it one more try, and if I don't, if it freezes again, we'll just stop it there. Just like I said before, I let the mission fanfare fully play there as a precaution. Alright, didn't freeze this time, but we're not out of the woods yet, because the game could still crash later in the cutscene. So hopefully I just didn't just jinx things royally there. Alright, looks like we're fine. Still have a bit more of the cutscene to go, though. So basically what happens in this ending cutscene is that we discover, once we find the ending 133, that there's only around 11 minutes left on the timer before it goes off. So we don't have much time to decide what to do with it. And Sam's idea is to let the bomb squad take care of it. So he sits the bomb down in the middle of the airport there. Bomb squad takes care of the bomb. Game over. Alright, so that was Pandora Tomorrow. It's a really cool speedrun, lots of AI manips, lots of cool skips as you saw in Condang Camp in Jakarta, and it's really interesting actually at high level play with all the little optimizations you can fit in all over the place. I know it's a stealth game and stealth games typically aren't great speedruns, but I feel like this game is sort of the exception to that rule. And I hope you see that in my submission here. So anyways, that was my submission for Pandora Tomorrow. I have been Nerd Squared, and I hope you consider this game for AGDQ.